de la Conferencia Internacional Enrumbandonos hacia las 4C's, el futuro de la educación y las nuevas oportunidades. Quisiera, en primer lugar, agradecer a todos los presentes e inmediatamente dar paso al inicio de este evento internacional. Welcome, everybody, to the International Panel Discussion, Moving Forward with 4C's, Future of Education and New Opportunities Post-COVID-19. I thank you very much to all attendees, and I will start immediately to the initiation of this conference. En primer lugar, quisiera dar el uso de la palabra al doctor José Orna Torres, fundador y promotor del Instituto Superior Pedagógico Víctor Andrés Belaunde. Adelante, doctor Orna.
Muy buenos días. El Instituto de Educación Superior Pedagógica Privado Víctor Andrés Belaunde se complace en convenir el presente panel de discusión internacional en torno a un tema de singular importancia, particularmente en estos tiempos de crisis sanitaria mundial. El Instituto Superior Pedagógico Víctor Andrés Belaunde organiza el presente panel internacional con el propósito de intercambiar experiencias sobre cómo el futuro de la educación puede efectivamente crear nuevas oportunidades de democratización en cuanto al acceso de la educación, sobre todo a los menos favorecidos de la sociedad peruana. Como vemos, los panelistas invitados provienen de diferentes latitudes y disciplinas más allá de la educación. Un denominador común los une a todos ellos: su pasión por el uso de las nuevas tecnologías de la información para mejorar la efectividad del servicio educativo y que esté más al alcance de todos. El Instituto Superior Pedagógico Privado Víctor Andrés Belaunde, con más de 30 años de experiencia en el campo de la formación de profesores a nivel nacional, desea estar a la vanguardia de estas nuevas tendencias y esperamos que todos los alumnos, los señores profesores del Víctor Andrés Belaunde, así como los participantes extranjeros que nos escuchan, puedan aprovechar las experiencias prácticas que compartirán en torno a las llamadas 4C, vale decir, creatividad, colaboración, comunidad y cambio cultural. Estos son los elementos esenciales para acceder a las bases sólidas de la transición de una verdadera comunidad virtual del Víctor Andrés Belaunde. Finalmente, agradecemos al doctor Pierre Martín Orna, miembro ad honorem de la Asociación Educativa Peridamán, por la valiosa iniciativa de concebir la idea que ahora se hace realidad. El doctor Pierre Martín Orna será el moderador de este panel de discusión. Muy agradecido por su participación.
Thank you very much, Dr. Orna, for your kind words. And we will now go into the translation of this speech to the international participants. The Institute of Higher Pedagogical Private Education, Víctor Andrés Belaunde, VAB, is pleased to convene this international panel discussion on a topic of singular importance, particularly in these times of world health crisis. The VAB organizes this international panel with the purpose of exchanging experiences on how the future education can effectively create new opportunities for democratization in terms of accessing to education, especially to the least favored people in the Peruvian society. As we will see, the invited panelists come from different places worldwide: Egypt, India, Malaysia, and the United States. And the disciplines are also beyond education. A common denominator unites them all: their passion for the use of new information technologies to improve the effectiveness of the educational services and make it more accessible to all. VAB with more than 30 years of experience in the field of teacher training at the national level in Peru, wishes to be at the forefront of these new trends. And we hope that all students, teachers of VIB, as well as foreign participants who listen to us, can take advantage of the particular experiences that will be shared around the so-called 4C's, related to creativity, collaboration, community, and cultural change. These are the basic ingredients to establish the solid foundations of the transition to a true virtual community of VAB. Finally, we would like to thank Dr. Pierre Horna, in-kind member of the Peridaman Educational Association, for the valuable initiative to conceive this idea that is now becoming a reality. I will be the moderator of this panel discussion. Thank you for your participation. Without further ado, then, we will move towards the presentation of the speakers, and we will also go through the presentation of the 3 rounds of questions that we will do for this panel discussion. Sin mayor preámbulo, vamos a pasar al panel de discusión, en donde hablaremos con los expositores sobre cómo se está planificando estas 4 Cs sobre 3 diferentes ruedas de preguntas. La primera de ellas va a ser, digamos, la presentación somera de cada uno de ellos, de dónde vienen y cuál es su experiencia en estos temas. La segunda rueda de preguntas será sobre las 4 Cs. Cada uno de los expositores o panelistas hablarán someramente de tales temas. Y la tercera será vinculado a los temas de sus reflexiones finales. The first round of questions will be a small presentation, initial remarks of their impressions and what are the specific experience on virtual education of each of our panelists. The second round of questions will be dedicated to extrapolate their experience on the 4Cs. Each of them will be devoted to explain each of the 4Cs that I have explained earlier. And the last one will be devoted to final remarks of each of the panelists. I understand that our host in Peru has been shared the specific bio notes of the speakers, so I will not repeat to that. In any case, you may wish to consult the Facebook Live account of the Institute as well. Entiendo que nuestra anfitriona de la conferencia ya ha circulado las biografías de los presentes expositores, por lo tanto no me voy a detener en ello. Vamos directamente a la presentación de cada una de los panelistas aquí presentes. En primer lugar, me gustaría dar el pase a la profesora Sofía Amirnuddin de la Universidad de Taylor de Malasia. First of all, I would like to give the floor to Professor Lecturer Sofía Amirnuddin, so she will share her first opening remarks about herself and what is his specific experience on this topic. Mrs. Sofía, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pierre. Hola, buenos días, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the participants who are here today. My name is Sofia, and I'm very grateful to be having all of you coming from various countries and also from different time zones. So when the idea first came about, all of the panelist members were concerned about the future direction of the education post-COVID-19. Hence the reason the title of moving forward with 4C's, future of education and new opportunities post-COVID-19. The 4C's stands for creativity, collaboration, cultural change, as well as community. Because we believe that all these 4C's interrelated with each other, and it does not only affect lecturer teaching at the higher education institutions, but it also affects school teachers, it affects higher education institutions, it affects parents, it affects students, it also affects training providers. So hence the reason the idea proposed to Dr. Pierre Horna, and we are very honored to be here with all of you today. Thank you, Dr. Pierre.
Thank you very much. para interpretar muy brevemente, la profesora Sofía ha hablado directamente sobre las 4Cs y por qué la importancia de poner estas 4Cs en estos tiempos de crisis. Ella está muy contenta de poder compartir sus experiencias el día de hoy y evidentemente vamos a hablar en detalle sobre esto a continuación. Ahora me gustaría dar el pase a la profesora Amanda Hassan desde los Estados Unidos, Oregon. Mrs. Amanda Hassan, you kindly have the floor for your initial remarks. Thank you very much.
Buenos dias, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Hassan. I am a school teacher in Oregon in the United States. I have experience teaching students from 6th grade to 11th grade. And I am passionate about equitable access to education and specifically affecting students coming from groups that are disproportionately marginalized. My topic today is community. So I'll be discussing how COVID-19 is affecting our communities, namely our students and their families, and what teachers can do to maintain the sense of community that students have had through schools until now.
Thank you very much for your remarks. Una interpretación somera de la presentación de la profesora Amanda Hassan se relaciona a su pasión por el acceso equitativo a la educación, prestando especial atención a los estudiantes en poblaciones académicamente vulnerables. Esto precisamente va a ser su punto de partida de su presentación el día de hoy sobre el tema de la comunidad, y precisamente también se va a referir a la situación actual del COVID-19 y con respecto a cómo este tema estaría o no influenciando el acceso equitativo a la educación precisamente de estos estudiantes que podrían ser menos desfavorecidos. Vamos ahora a dar el pase al profesor Kandappan de la Universidad de Taylor de Malasia para sus, digamos, primeras intervenciones. Dr. Kandi, please, you have the floor. We have some problems of your audio. If you can connect the micro, please. No. Okay, while you fix that problem, perhaps I would like to ask Dr. Mohamed Elian, also from Oregon University, to share us your initial remarks on the topic at stake. Vamos a pasar paso al doctor Mohamed mientras el profesor Dr. Kandappan arregla su micrófono. Adelante. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and good evening, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me with you today. I'm honored to be part of this panel. Thank you for everyone who worked really hard to make this happen. My name is Mohamed Elian. I'm the director of the LLM program, which is a master's in law at the University of Oregon School of Law. My topic today will be culture change and how moving from traditional platform for education to online and distance learning has affected the culture change within institutional educational institutions and families, teachers, and students and families as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Pierre, for inviting us, and thank you for hosting the event today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohamed, for your participation. Interpretando lo que dice el doctor Mohamed, él es actualmente director del programa de la maestría en la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de Oregon, en los Estados Unidos, y el día de hoy va a presentar el tema del cambio cultural, particularmente cuando se habla de la transición de la educación física a la educación virtual. Y creo que ese es un tema fundamental, cuál es el impacto que tiene en los alumnos, en los educandos, y en ese tema precisamente se va a adentrar el profesor Elian con respecto a su ponencia del día de hoy. Como ustedes saben, tenemos 4 panelistas y vamos a ser bien concretos con respecto a las respuestas de sus presentaciones para luego pasar a las preguntas de todo el público. Vamos ahora a intentar con el doctor Kandappan la posibilidad de que se nos una a esta conferencia. Dr. Kandi, please, you have the floor. Okay, so we have some technical problems with Dr. Kandi and his connection. So we will try to see if he can arrange that technical issue while we move forward with the presentation. So if I may, I would like to now give the floor to Professor Lecturer Sofía Amirnuddin to talk about the first C, creativity.
All right, gracias, Dr.
You may share your slide as well.
Okay, I'll start.
Sofía. Adelante.
All right, hello again, everyone. So for my presentation, I'll be covering on the area with regards to creativity. So the reason why I chose creativity and why creativity is important, particularly in times such as now, is because of my personal experience as a program director who works at the management level, as well as a lecturer teaching both postgraduate as well as undergraduate students. I understand the concerns faced by both parties, and from my experience as well, I would like to share on what are the best practices, as well the insights that I've received from various discussions with all of the panel participants who are with us today. Because news have indicated that pandemic is affecting all of us, and none of us are excluded from the consequences of the virus itself. It affects on how businesses are run, it affects how teachers teach, it also affects how students learn. So I understand as well when we are forced to adopt on new teaching pedagogies, an area which we are not familiar with. For some lecturers, online learning or virtual learning is an alien concept. So it can be very difficult for lecturers to impart their knowledge using a new medium which they are not familiar with, as well as students who are very eager to learn despite being confined at home, but they also need to be adaptive with regards to learning online in times such as now. So I'll just move on to my next slide, which deals with...
If I may interrupt
yes.
your first, so then I can interpret very quickly in Spanish first.
Yes.
La profesora Sofía Amirnuddin de Malasia, como algunos de ustedes ya la conocen, ella participó en una conferencia virtual en el Instituto VAB hace algunas semanas. Ahora, en esta oportunidad, quiere hablar sobre el tema de la creatividad, basada en su propia experiencia, porque efectivamente en su experiencia se establece una serie de vivencias con respecto a cómo profesores y alumnos tienen que pasar a este nuevo nivel que es de la virtualidad y qué cánones específicos de la creatividad tendrían que ser, digamos, pensar más allá de lo convencional, si se quiere. Y en ese sentido es que ella plantea el tema de cómo debemos inmediatamente cambiar el chip, y ser más creativos y pensar más allá de lo convencional en este tipo de tecnologías, de prácticas que son muy importantes para la educación. Please, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the interpretation. All right, the first C itself deals with creativity. So why is that so? It's because I keep advising a lot of my colleagues that even though we feel stressed and constrained on the ability, what we can do and how we can teach online, COVID-19 is actually a blessing in disguise. The reason being is that it provides a lot of opportunities for all of us to take risks and make mistakes and then improve ourselves further without being so much concerned with the consequences of doing mistakes while delivering our lessons. So that's the reason why I mentioned in the first bullet point that COVID-19 actually opens a lot of doors of opportunities for all of us just to take a new hat and then just wear it and then try to take a different approach on how you'll be able to attempt this current situation. News have also indicated with regard to how the global economy is currently facing recessions. There are also talks with regards to how there's a possibility of education institution being consolidated. So when I hear all of the news with regards to universities merging, colleges merging, training providers merging, so the first thing that came to my mind, what about all these lecturers? Are they able to keep their jobs? What about the support staff? Because I won't be able to deliver effectively without the ICT support, faculty support. So all of this, they will be concerned with their job security in the future as well. So that I realized it's not the time for us to be stressed, but it's the time where we embark on something new and explore new things. And also based on my reading, on a book written by Professor Clayton Christensen on Innovators' Dilemma, he talks about disruptive innovation. So how education industry is already being disrupted. Is it that we haven't felt it yet? So the disruption when it comes to education industry concerns the massive online open course of short as MOOC, where knowledge are being delivered using online or being delivered virtually. So it has been done and conducted in the past. A lot of educators are utilizing it. So it shows that it is actually not difficult. It is doable. So all of us as a lecturer, whether or not we have experience teaching online or whether or not this is our first time embarking on something new, it is something that all of us can learn and then try to keep improving ourselves during this crisis. So the disruption...
interrupt on this just
yes.
for the next point. La importancia de este primer punto es que el COVID-19, como bien dice, abre una ventana de oportunidades en donde el tema de la educación de alguna manera está siendo interrumpida de una manera innovativa y que no hay punto de regreso en muchos de los ámbitos que se están explicando. La posibilidad de crear este tipo de ventanas y oportunidades por el tema de que en muchos países, incluyendo el Perú, existe este confinamiento total y obligatorio, es que el COVID-19 podría, y desde luego lo va a hacer de esa manera, cambiar muchos de los paradigmas en cuanto a cómo debe plantearse el fenómeno de la educación en cuanto a el servicio educativo en sí mismo. Y por eso es que la propia experiencia de la profesora Sofía habla de que esta apertura de muchas oportunidades nos hacen pensar más allá de lo que normalmente se habla de educación a distancia, sino una educación completamente virtual, en donde todo tipo de interacción se hace a través de los medios que otorga el Internet y las plataformas virtuales. Could you please go ahead? Thank you.
All right, thank you for that.
¿Cuál es tu modo? De lo que te digo.
Ese que es para las náuseas, porque ella me cortó las náuseas.
So I'll just resume my presentation on the second bullet point. So when the education industry is being disrupted by digital technology, so these are the two factors that we need to take into account. So there will be changing demands of the customer or the consumers, as well as we need to take into account the evolving practices of our competitors. So these are the two factors that we need to take into account in the past. But because of COVID-19, it is not something that we need to take into account. We already have to take into account because almost all education industry or education institution is already incorporating learning via online platforms, either using Zoom, Teams, WebEx. So the list is endless. So it is very important that everyone just take the risk and then try to be creative, because history has shown those who suffered from recession and downturn, they do so with strength and because of their creativity as well as their ability to be innovative. So I understand there are a lot of constraints faced by a lot of education providers, lecturers, and students, but it's okay as long as you utilize within whatever that is available, because of course I understand it relates to institution budget as well. So when you introduce something new, you make a mistake, it is okay, because students can be forgiving because they appreciate what is being placed by the lecturers. They can see the efforts being placed by the institution as well to ensure that education still take place, that students will still be able to learn although they are confined to their homes. When we talk about evolving practices, so we have a lot of competitors introducing various innovative ways. But how I would like to see things is that all of us now, whether we're from University of Oregon, or whether we're from HALES, or whether we're from VAB, VAB itself, we are no longer competitors, but we're family, we're united, we're fighting this virus together. So all of us need to go beyond the dark horizon and share best practices with each other, because this is the time where we encourage other educators to improve ourselves. So this is the time where we emphasize on the future skills to our students, because students need to bear in mind that the needs of future employers will change. So they are no longer fixated or determined by the requirement, because the lesson that we have learned from this pandemic is that anything can happen. We need to adapt, and then we need to adopt various technology in order to keep moving. So I'll give an example of other pandemics that has happened in the past. We have SARS that has happened in 2012. We have H1N1 in 2009. We have MERS in 2012. So now we have COVID-19. So we can't say 100% sure that there will not be another pandemic in the future, but it's always good if we persevere and we start preparing from day one. It's right after COVID-19, when the government says everyone can return to the office, parents will have fear whether or not it is safe to send their children to school. Parents will have concerns whether or not they should send their students abroad to further their education. So in order to address all these concerns, my advice is, of course, it will be impossible for all institutions to transform teaching and learning online, but it's good to have a balance between delivering online and you also have a personalized human touch, so that students will be able to connect with the lecturers. Students will also be able to network with their classmates, although virtually.
Thank you very much for that explanation about creativity. Let me just summarize very briefly in Spanish. La última parte de su diapositiva de la profesora Amirnuddin habla precisamente de estos cambios evolutivos, de esta situación cambiante, que no solamente es una cuestión, digamos, coyuntural del COVID-19, sino ya ha venido una tendencia en cuanto a cómo la educación debe, de alguna manera, tener este tipo de fluctuaciones e interpretaciones y también posibilidades de desarrollo. Entonces, cuando se habla de este equilibrio entre la tecnología y el toque humano personalizado, es justamente esta interrupción lenta, pero importante, de la tecnología digital, y que además está impactando no solamente todo lo que es las posibilidades de interacción entre profesor y alumno, sino también las ofertas educativas que tienen las diferentes instituciones que dan el servicio de la educación. Entonces, este es un tema fundamental. Han venido, digamos, una serie de epidemias. No es la primera, el COVID-19. Habla ella de la epidemia y del problema que se tuvo en SARS y otras más que estuvieron hace ya algunos años atrás. Y no nos sorprenderá que vendrá otra epidemia más o otra pandemia más en el futuro. Por lo tanto, esto no sería un tema cultural. Obviamente, el grado de crisis que ha generado el COVID-19 ha quizás acelerado el proceso de la virtualización de la educación, y eso es justamente lo que nos atiene en este momento. Queremos, evidentemente, ahora pasar a la siguiente C, y para ello me gustaría poder ver si la profesora Amanda Hassan puede dar el uso de la palabra con respecto a su propia experiencia, que es el tema de la comunidad. Mrs. Amanda Hassan, I would like you to speak about the second C. If I may ask you, please, could you please share your slide, and
Yes.
every single point try to stop so that I can interpret to the audience in Spanish. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll share my screen.
Aprovecho para comentarles a la comunidad que nos ve en este momento que todas las preguntas que quisieran plantear a los expositores podrían plantearlo en esta nueva chat que se ha formado, que dice preguntas y respuestas, Q&A, a los efectos de que podamos ya ir agrupando las preguntas para la siguiente fase de esta panel de discusión. I would like to say to the international panelists, international participants, if they wish to present some questions, they can already put their questions in the specific chat message on Q&A, so we will group them in accordance to how they appear. Now, without other use, kindly, Amanda, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll be talking with you guys about community and what that means and how do we define community, especially during this time. So how are schools communities? So outside of our neighborhoods and our families, how are schools communities, and how are these communities disrupted now that schools are closed and students are learning from home? Recent closures have made us realize how dependent students and families are on schools to provide community for our children. And likewise, because nobody gets into teaching unless they're passionate about students and passionate about education, our teachers are also realizing how important schools are and how important that community is to them. They're missing their students dearly, they're missing their colleagues and the environment, and providing this community to students. So moving on, how can teachers and schools during this pandemic continue to provide this sense of community, and how can we do that bearing in mind that there are some populations of students that are going to be difficult to reach during this pandemic? Would you like to translate that?
Sure. Thank you, Amanda. Muy importante el tema de la comunidad, el impacto de la comunidad, y esa es la segunda C que vamos a conversar el día de hoy. Esto es un tema vinculado evidentemente a las preocupaciones ya existentes con respecto a la actual crisis de confinamiento en muchas sociedades, en muchos países, donde el Perú no es la excepción. Y evidentemente este impacto tiene que ser cómo este impacto puede mitigarse de alguna forma en cuanto a este tipo de familias y profesores que tienen el acceso directo o indirecto al apoyo educativo. Todo ello involucra a lo que es la comunidad de maestros y todo lo que involucra también el impacto que va a tener este tipo de políticas en cuanto a la comunidad en sí misma y los aspectos colaborativos. Por lo tanto, vamos ahora a definir cómo es ese impacto y cómo se puede mitigar en lo que viene en estos momentos de confinamiento en nuestros países. You may proceed.
Thank you so much. So first, what schools have been doing, at least in the United States, are providing, if they can, laptops to students, checking them out to students, having like a distribution center at the school so that teachers can still reach their students during the closure. In addition to that, sending home textbooks, printing worksheets or packets, and general school supplies. Some students don't have pencils, paper, and these sort of basic supplies at home. And so the schools have a responsibility to do that. In addition, addressing the needs of students with disabilities, or in my case, where I work, students who are English language learners. In my community, there's a high percentage of students who come from Spanish only speaking environments, and we're thinking how to continue addressing their needs as students living in the United States, how to continue assisting them in their English language learning remotely. In addition to that, working closely with families to provide educational support and socio-emotional support. So what does that mean? In addition to moving classrooms online, teachers have had to provide not just academic support and teaching, math and science and these basic subjects, but providing support for students in light of the fact that they are now missing this community. They're missing their friends, they're missing their teachers, they're missing the stability of going to school every day. So how are schools providing this socio-emotional support to students and to families? Some ways that they can do this are maintaining...
If I may interrupt until the last 4 points, so then you can go back on the how you move forward. Sorry for the interruption, Mrs. Amanda. Entonces, está hablando de algunas medidas que se están tomando en los confinamientos, semi-confinamientos o confinamientos totales que existen en los alumnos y los educandos, particularmente en las escuelas de los alumnos de inicial y primaria. Entonces, una de las medidas que se están tomando en los Estados Unidos, obviamente, es en tratar de distribuir, digamos, laptops o tabletas a los alumnos, a los efectos de que puedan acceder a los medios electrónicos, darles tareas por módulos de educando, por días o por cada semana, dependiendo de la posibilidad. Pero más que todo de la parte de esta logística, también hay un aspecto, digamos, psicológico de este confinamiento, que es el hecho de no estar con sus amigos, los alumnos o los pequeños educandos. Y en ese sentido hay un elemento fundamental que es el apoyo a la comunidad por ese lado, que es el lado de, de ser social, de ser gregario entre los diferentes educandos de la misma edad. En ese sentido, tomando en cuenta los recursos que se están dando en diferentes países, sobre todo en el caso de la profesora Amanda, donde ella dice que particularmente tiene un grupo de estudiantes en donde el idioma inglés no es la primera lengua, sino más bien el castellano. Entonces hay que tratar de garantizar que durante este periodo de confinamiento hayan las posibilidades o medidas para que estos alumnos sigan su aprendizaje de este idioma a los efectos de estar siempre confraternizados y socializados con sus camaradas dentro del colegio o sus compañeros de clase. You may proceed. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. So what does this socio-emotional support look like? How does this change the teacher-student relationship? What does that look like during distance learning? When a teacher can't be there physically for their student, and the school itself, the building itself as a space, a communal space, how can we redefine this relationship and take care of the emotions of our students and their feelings? So teachers just asking about their students, asking how they're doing, connecting with them as much as possible, checking in on them during Zoom meetings, calling them, asking how they're feeling. This is a scary time for a lot of kids. A lot of kids aren't really understanding what's happening. Their world has changed overnight. And so teachers placing maybe less emphasis at times on academics, still maintaining, having expectations for their students, but making sure to prioritize relationships. Relationships are so important right now over like behavioral or academic standards. Moving on.
So if I may go to this point as well, because I think it's very important to the audience, especially the Spanish audience. El tema del apoyo emocional, social, que debe garantizarse en este tipo de incertidumbre que existe ahora, es natural porque el pequeño estudiante está completamente desconcertado de cómo no puede ir a la escuela y por qué no puede juntarse con sus amigos de escuela, sus compañeros de clase. No, en ese sentido, el trabajo de la profesora o de la persona que está en cargo de ellos, la tutora o el tutor, es básicamente comunicarse con ellos en este tiempo de incertidumbre, de poder establecer una cierta relación con ellos para saber cómo están, no más que todo en el tema académico o el tema de aprender nuevos conceptos, sino más bien de establecer ese aspecto social, ¿no? Hacer reuniones virtuales vía Zoom u otros medios virtuales, ayuda a que la profesora y sus alumnos se puedan mantener, aun cuando sean de estos primeros años de primaria y secundaria. Y ahí quizás me permito añadir algo que es de mi propia experiencia, conforme a lo que dice la profesora Amanda, porque aquí también en Suiza, yo tengo 2 hijos y uno de ellos tiene 4 años, que está entrando a la inicial, y el otro tiene 8 años, que está ya en 4º grado de primaria, y precisamente el de 8 años tiene justamente lo que hablaba la profesora Amanda, que está haciendo en los Estados Unidos. Va a decir, hay una interrelación, hay una posibilidad de decir directamente a los padres que los alumnos no están de vacaciones, que tienen que seguir trabajando, pero que no hay una necesidad directa de, digamos, aprender nuevos conceptos, sino más bien repasar los que ya han aprendido antes del COVID-19 y durante este periodo de confinamiento, tratar de mantener la sociabilidad, si se quiere, con sus compañeros y con la profesora a través de reuniones virtuales, pero también se mandan cartas al estilo antiguo, donde obviamente pueden eso tratar de incluir también mayores posibilidades de interacción social para el niño. Please, you may proceed.
Okay. So continuing and speaking about our community of students and families, there are a few concerns that we have to bear in mind as educators, and that is that, like I mentioned before, schools are so much more than schools. They are shelter for our students. They are a place where students can go to get a meal, at least in the United States. In the school that I work in, lunch is free for every student. So how can we address these issues when there is no longer school? So there are nutritional concerns for families that rely on school meals. We have a bus system that's delivering meals to students that are at risk of having grave nutritional concerns. And then time and schedule management difficulties for parents working from home. Because the COVID-19 closures aren't just closing schools, right? They're closing a lot of places of work. So parents are moving their work to home while simultaneously trying to now help their children with distance learning or online learning. So it's putting a lot of stress on families. This is something teachers have to remember, that parents now are experiencing high levels of stress, high levels of worry, and oftentimes students or children will mirror the stress that their parents are experiencing or the adults in their home are experiencing. So as educators, we can think about how to make things easy on our families, a low stress environment, an environment that feels safe and secure and predictable. So having a predictable schedule for students and for families. Maintaining family well-being and household harmony. There's only so much you can do remotely as a teacher in helping maintain this. But like I mentioned before, having a structure, being approachable, and making sure that students can predict what their day is going to be like, what their learning is going to be like. creating a variety of activities for your students to show their knowledge and what they know, making things fun, gamifying, so using a game to teach your lecture instead of just like having students read and write and things that may feel less engaging for them. And then the last point here, reliance on schools for other services. Anything a student may need or a family may need at this time. One issue is if the family has laptops now and is doing distance learning, and the child is young and the parents are not very tech literate, what can we do about that? If all the lessons are online and nobody in the home is really able to help the child, isn't really sure how to work Zoom, how to work Google, how to log into this or that, providing that tech support or any other support that families are needing during this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Let me just quickly summarize the last points and then we move to the next speaker. Bien, en este último tema, la profesora Hassan habla precisamente de un tema fundamental, ¿no? El tema de la escuela en labor social, pero también lo que significa la escuela en muchos de los casos en donde, por ejemplo, la escuela también es una especie de casa, habitación de alguna manera para los educandos, porque ahí también pueden comer, pueden tener sus comidas cada día. Entonces, ¿qué impacto tiene, por ejemplo, que los niños ya no puedan ir a la escuela y por ende tampoco no puedan comer en la escuela cuando hay efectos nutricionales concretos por parte de la escuela que piensa en la nutrición que puede tener el niño? Entonces, eso quizás no se pueda asegurar al 100% en las casas. Pueden ustedes imaginarse si eso pasa en Estados Unidos, cómo está la situación en el Perú. Entonces, todo este tipo de situaciones hacen que exista una necesidad de mantener el bienestar familiar y la armonía entre el hogar y el aislamiento que tenga precisamente este niño, ¿no? Y también garantizar el aprendizaje a distancia. Entonces, obviamente que existe también una dependencia de las escuelas para otros servicios que las familias puedan necesitar, salud, vivienda, tecnología, etcétera, etcétera. Y en ese sentido, lo que está la escuela tomando un rol fundamental en cuanto a la comunidad en sí, es que el alumno pueda finalmente seguir aprendiendo en línea, pero también tratando de llevar estas otras funciones que la escuela debe y garantiza en sus normales funcionamientos como parte de la comunidad. De manera que son muchas las funciones que tiene la escuela en los niños, y sobre todo en los niños que tienen o vienen de facciones poco favorecidas. Ese es un tema que la profesora Amanda quería compartir con ustedes. Vamos ahora entonces a dar pase, intentar si el profesor Kandappan nos da la parte de la colaboración, que sería la tercera C. Y él ha presentado una diapositiva sobre colaboración y nos encantaría saber si finalmente podemos escucharlo al profesor Kandi. Dr. Kandi, if you could perhaps share with us the third C related to collaboration. Can we hear your voice?
You can hear my voice now?
Go ahead. Now we can.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to share the screen. So thank you so much for, and I apologize for the initial. Okay, so my topic, the C which I'm going to talk is more on collaboration. So let me quickly go to the slide. So I would like to say the collaboration is one of the very important tool nowadays. The reason there is a shift in learning culture. So when you take the institutional revolution 1.0 to 4.0, which we call it as education 1.0 to 4.0, we can see that things have changed from a teacher-centric towards student-centric. right? So there is a lot of shift has happened in the culture. Students started moving, like mobility. There are a lot of diverse. That means the knowledge connectivity become wider. So the students started looking. The students started looking for more different knowledges. So it becomes like the knowledge become eccentric. So it's not like one way of communication. The knowledge become like everywhere, flow of knowledge in the classroom. So it fosters the teamwork. Number 2 point I would like to say, because in the industry nowadays, everything is teamwork. The best example always we see the ants. You see the ants always, the team works and always works. I think it's a good example. We need to learn how the teamwork can have a very good outcome in terms of any task, multiple tasks. Number 3 is very important here is a collective intelligence. So how to bring a collective intelligence only when you create a collaboration. So that means in your class, how you expand your class to a borderless classroom. So I can classroom in the world. For example, from Malaysia, I'm going to connect to Peru. Maybe a same topic, but the intelligence are different because we come from different cultures, different background. So we give one problem to the students. Let's see how collectively the solutions are coming rather than one way of solution. So this is the one which the industry is looking, what we call it as design thinking. And
May
the modern force.
First 3
Sure,
points,
sure,
so then you can move forward to the next 3 points.
Thank you.
Como ustedes pueden apreciar, estamos hablando del tema colaborativo, ¿no? Y el profesor Kandappan habla de 3 primeros temas que son fundamentales, ¿no? En primer lugar, hablamos del cambio en la cultura de aprendizaje. ¿Qué significa esto? Significa que tiene que haber una especie de apertura y una especie de migración entre lo que es, como dice el profesor Candy, con respecto a ser menos centrista en el profesor, sino más centrista en el alumno, donde puede existir una verdadera interacción de conocimiento y flujo de conocimiento, como él plantea. Entonces, eso es algo fundamental. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando hay flujo de conocimiento, pasamos al siguiente punto, que es el trabajo en equipo. Al haber flujo de conocimiento entre las dos grandes partes del conocimiento o de la adquisición de conocimiento, existe lo que se llama el trabajo en equipo. El trabajo en equipo, a través de una serie de lineamientos que se han dado y se van a dar en el tema virtual, es mucho más sencillo que antes. Pero también hay un tema fundamental que él habla, y es la inteligencia colectiva, que no es lo mismo que el trabajo en equipo. Y en ese sentido, la inteligencia colectiva puede ser algo mucho más enriquecedor que el trabajo en equipo. ¿Por qué? Porque la inteligencia colectiva se basa en diferentes patrones de cultura y de formas de ver el mundo de diferentes partes del mundo. Él plantea, por ejemplo, la historia en este momento como un profesor que está en Malasia, a medianoche, en Malasia, o más allá de la medianoche, puede compartir sus propias vivencias con los amigos que están en Lima, en Perú. Y definitivamente no van a pensar lo mismo, pero pueden también fertilizar sus ideas para llegar a algo más concreto, algo más efectivo, algo más que dé un impacto, una cultura de cambio. Y eso es justamente lo que plantea con esos 3 primeros puntos. You may proceed, Dr. Candy.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Okay, when it comes to the modern workforce, the collaboration is the key for success. That's why I think even this event is a collaboration from 4 different countries. So I think we set an example how the collaboration is very important. So the collaboration provides a knowledge to diverse knowledge. So that's why I think the modern workforce collaboration is one of the key area. In every level. So when I say every level, which I think the next slide will give more details on that, that means from bottom layer to the top layer, we must collaborate in all dimensions, and we must believe as an educator please, there is no more like the knowledge is only from educator to the student. The knowledge is everywhere now. So we must believe that. So provide a platform for the students to share what they know about the topic and learn from each other is very important. And try to work together with the students and make sure involve your students in the learning process. Okay, I think create a learning experience, not just transforming the knowledge. We must create a learning experience, grasp the new knowledge by putting a multiple access point. Okay, so try to put like different types of multiple points. What I'm saying here, okay, show some example of expert what they are saying. Show a video, ask the students to say what they observed from the video. Try to give some will be active. And very important, I think the post-COVID has really taught us. One of the example I would like to say. Okay, one of the example is it really created a new learning model who believe that no more technology can be used. I think the entire world will agree on this. The technology has really embraced here. So everybody should look on new learning models. And according to one of the very good study from John Hattie, 2016, he told the students can improve 3 times his capacity and also knowledge and also life skills. And also life skills. Okay, life skills, which is more than 3 times. So which really improves their okay. So maybe I stop here for Dr. Pierre to explain.
Thank you very much. Let me just get back to the main point before about this point. I think that it will also be important for the audience before, after I do the interpretation, the differences between how you talk about the strategic thinking as well and design thinking. I think that will be also important, Dr. Candy. But let me just go back to this later on. Ok, bueno, en el tema de la colaboración nos habíamos quedado en el tercer punto, ¿no? Que es un tema fundamental, porque estamos hablando de una educación en el futuro basado en una interrelación de diferentes puntos de acceso a la información, y como dice el profesor Candy, múltiples puntos de acceso a información, en donde la información está directamente retroalimentada por una serie de discusiones y de puntos de vista por parte del educando y de los educadores. Entonces, se está hablando de diferentes estilos de aprendizaje y de estudiantes, creando un nuevo modelo de aprendizaje basado precisamente en esta multiplicidad de puntos de vista con respecto a un solo tema, basado con ejemplos y vivencias específicas de cada estudiante o educando también. Entonces, ahí lo que estamos creando es una especie de empoderamiento que puede generar también que los estudiantes puedan mejorar en una gran proporción la motivación, la concentración, la persistencia y su compromiso. Como hablaba él de una investigación de una persona, de John Hattie, en el año 2016. Obviamente que estamos aquí tomando en cuenta el tema de la posibilidad de la dialéctica o de la discusión de los estudiantes. Y es justamente ese ámbito de motivación que da el profesor a los alumnos, que los alumnos también tienen que tomar esa iniciativa a efectos de crear esos múltiples puntos de acceso. No es algo que viene totalmente automático, también es algo importante. Entonces, creemos de mucha importancia que esta educación en el futuro requerirá de más colaboración en todos los niveles que presenta el proceso de aprendizaje. Y en ese sentido es que tenemos la necesidad de trabajar juntos y aprender el uno del otro de acuerdo a las vivencias que uno tiene y que puede aportar al proceso de aprendizaje. Dr. Kandi, you may proceed.
Okay, here I would like to share my own experience because we talk about collaboration, how to do it. I put in 5 different categories, like a 5 student to student. Okay, so there are 3 areas which we can see. The remote, so how the students from one house staying in one area, village or city can connect to another, and how they can be a role model, how they can share screens. So this can happen when you use some tools like Padlet, screen sharing apps, Nearport. Okay, so what it happens, Google Sheets, for example, Google presentation. So this helps the students to work together as a team at the same time, but in different location. And also how the collaboration can be done, not only the student who are current students. So even you try to bring your alumni, every university like 20 years, 30 years old, you must have a wide range of alumni. Why not you invite your alumni to be in the classroom just for 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That makes a lot of difference because they share the real teacher to teacher. So I put one is in-house, that is within your university, how you can collaborate. For example, I am from hospitality school. How can I collaborate with School of Law? For example, Ms. Putri. I can invite her to my class to share a session. So I think we need to show the example of collaboration. Number 2, offshore, from your university to another university within your locality, within your province. Okay. Then another one, best example I can quote, I call it as a borderless classroom. Okay, this is one of the concepts I'm practicing for last more than 2 to 3 years. So which is nothing but the classroom has no borders. There is no wall for border. There is no learning as no border. So what I have done, I connected the class to the industry practitioners. I connected my class through a Skype or maybe through now Zoom, connect to the another university. So the learning is going across the border. That's another. Now you can do it like region-wise collaborations, or you can do like, for example, maybe Peru can do a collaboration within your nation. And probably this is where mobility program comes, international collaborative class. So last year I did a collaborative class with East Carolina University, US, where my students and their students present at the same times. But when the East Carolina students present, my students will be the control group. They ask questions. And when my students present, they will ask questions. So they see that, because when my students presented, they use PowerPoint. But from US, it's totally different. They use an infographic style, very casual. So this is where the students get an opportunity to see how the standards set in other countries. Dr. Pia, you want me to stop here, or can I?
Yes. You go. I would like to explain the first 2 levels, and then maybe we go to the 3rd level as well.
Okay, so I explain.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll get back to you on the 3rd level. Correct. Entonces, lo que se habla aquí es un poco la experiencia personal y profesional del doctor Kandi con respecto a cómo se puede dar, digamos, en la práctica la colaboración. Y en ese sentido, ¿no? Él explica los 5 niveles que ustedes pueden ver en pantalla, y ahora prácticamente está explicando los primeros 3 niveles. Creo que eso es algo muy importante, como el acceso de estudiante-estudiante, que es un primer nivel, que quizás sea un nivel colaborativo bastante tradicional o evidente o obvio entre los salones de clase, pero no sería tan evidente si estaríamos hablando en una situación como la que vivimos ahora. Entonces, esta situación de estudiante-estudiante, que justamente funciona y está funcionando en una serie de escuelas, se puede dar, obviamente, con una serie de herramientas como él habla, como Padlet y otras. Y son herramientas que están a la disposición de los estudiantes. Justamente en la primera presentación que dio la profesora Sofía Amirnuddin hace unas semanas en el VAB, hablaba de algunas de estas herramientas para compartir ciertos foros de discusión y explicaba específicamente cómo funcionan estas herramientas para el tema colaborativo de estudiante-estudiante. El tema de compartir pantallas, obviamente que es un tema que podría sonar sencillo, pero no es tan sencillo cuando los estudiantes no tienen el acceso a estos medios electrónicos o no han sido capacitados para poder hacer este tipo de colaboraciones que normalmente se harían en la vida real en un salón de clase. El segundo nivel es de docente a docente. Y aquí, evidentemente, se aplica una serie de otros factores que podrían ser sencillos quizás dentro de la casa de estudios, dentro de la misma institución educativa, una fertilización entre ellos, colaboración entre ellos, pero también se estila desde el punto de vista de fuera, entre diferentes instituciones educativas. El profesor Candy hablaba de cómo poder colaborar entre diferentes instituciones educativas. En el caso del VAB, sería entre diferentes institutos pedagógicos a nivel nacional. ¿Y cuáles serían estas medidas colaborativas para poder que los docentes, entre ellos, colaboren en diferentes prácticas o vivencias del propio proceso de aprendizaje y de enseñanza, en este caso, para ellos? Luego, hablaba de un tema transfronterizo, que justamente hablamos en este momento a través de esta conferencia virtual. Es una forma también de compartir experiencias a nivel ya de internacional o más allá de las fronteras. Con las limitaciones del caso, quizás el idioma u otros factores, creo que en este tema el profesor Candy explica, por ejemplo, una experiencia entre los diferentes formas de presentar temas, y hablaba de cómo, por ejemplo, la diferencia entre el estudiante o el docente al presentar, digamos, su información a través de diapositivas, ¿no? Y la cultura de enseñanza en Estados Unidos quizás sea a través de infographics. Entonces, hay una diferencia ahí que se puede, digamos, complementar entre ellas conforme a lo que es la cultura de aprendizaje en cada una de estas latitudes. Ya puede haber una experiencia y un intercambio de experiencias sobre ese tipo de colaboración entre docentes. Y, bueno, ese es un tema que evidentemente sería muy importante hablar. Dr. Candy, would you like to go on number 3, 4, and 5 now?
3 and 5, right?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Dr. Pierre. Okay, when it comes to school-to-school collaboration, so what can be done? Because the parents cannot move. So try to build your network through social media. Okay, try to build your network through social media, connect to the other side. Everywhere in the world, the people are looking for help. I think it's a time to care and collaborate. Okay, but make sure the collaboration brings meaningful learning. So try to connect your region-wise, national-wise, international-wise. I recently did 2 to 3 classes to my postgraduate students, connecting my students to international. Okay, so that's what we have to really think in this pandemic time. So I think the another one, international students, I think most of the countries, we have a mobility program, students exchange program. But during the post-pandemic, how it is going to be? What is the borders issues? Whether students will be traveling? Maybe a good solution in my thought, we should come with a virtual reality experience to the students so that the students, I think we have to start as an educator, we need to start forming a virtual reality into education, into next level. So moving to school to community, I think Dr. Amanda covered a lot. So I will try to precise it very shortly. So try to connect your students to the local. That means when I say local community, it can be indigenous group or maybe any group. The students should understand the value of the people, value of the culture. Okay, so how they can contribute back to the country. This is where we develop our social, cultural, and social value to our students. You can also connect to NGOs or UNESCO, always available online. Okay, try to find some person from representative from UNESCO, ask them to spare maybe 30 minutes to talk to your students, see whether any projects can be hooked from that. I think it's very important, or maybe whether the final year students, is there any opportunity for him to do who cannot go for internship, probably through this network, they can do it online. So really, it's a time to think. The last one, the school to industry. So I break it down into 3 elements: multinational company based on your discipline, industry experts, and entrepreneurs. So I would like to share one of the recent thing I have done. I recently did one international panel discussion involving academicians, involving industry players, that is related to my module outcome. So this kind of things can be done to create new learning experience, because as I always believe, every day is a new learning with new task. So I think as an educator, if we are not trying new things, how do you expect your students to collaborate? I think as a teacher, we must be a role model to create. Of course, there will be failures. I think failures is a good way for success. Now I leave. Thank you so much for listening. I leave to Dr. P.
Thank you, Dr. Candy, for your views about the 3 latest levels. I'll get back to you on some points later on the panel discussion. Bien,
Sure.
con los últimos 3 puntos que el doctor Kandappan ha hablado, creemos, y él, como él bien menciona, aquí el tercer nivel de colegio a colegio es fundamental, pero también se debe pensar de que en un periodo post-COVID-19 algunos elementos de colaboración podrán ser restringidos, sobre todo el tema internacional, pero también en general, todo aquello que involucre la interacción entre personas. Por eso su opinión es que en algunos, de acuerdo a las posibilidades, la creación de realidades virtuales podría ser un elemento que fomentaría el intercambio cultural, el intercambio entre colegio y colegio, o entre institución educativa y otra institución educativa. Este tipo de herramientas pueden garantizar de alguna otra forma que este intercambio todavía sea eficiente dentro de estas limitaciones. En el punto número 4, que es el nivel de colegio a la comunidad, ya la profesora Amanda había hablado un poco sobre el nivel colegio a nivel local, de la comunidad, y también, evidentemente, las ONGs forman un elemento fundamental porque ya es un apoyo social, de protección social al educando. También, obviamente, a nivel internacional, dentro de las Naciones Unidas, la UNESCO tendría ciertos programas de capacitación que podrían ayudar a este cometido. Bien, en cuanto al último nivel del colegio a la industria, el profesor Kandappan habla efectivamente en su propia experiencia de que los profesores tienen que siempre innovar, siempre tienen que tener una posibilidad concreta de dar el ejemplo a sus alumnos, y es por eso es que en el vínculo entre el colegio, del colegio a la industria, efectivamente tiene que haber cierto tipo de correlación entre lo que está pasando también en la industria y las vivencias que están sucediendo en esas áreas. Tiene que haber más compenetración y, por ejemplo, este tipo de situaciones en las cuales se hablan con las empresas multinacionales, con los expertos industriales, con los emprendedores, todo ello hace que la escuela tenga cierta función también en cuanto a esta relación de la creación. Como bien les comentaba a algunos alumnos que han estado en nuestras conferencias, la vinculación entre la educación y el desarrollo económico va por la articulación de las políticas educativas con las políticas industriales. ¿Qué es lo que ofrece el país, ¿no?, como sectores claves de la economía y la industria? ¿Y cuál es la función que tienen los colegios, las universidades, las instituciones educativas con respecto a esa oferta laboral? y eso es muy importante. Bien, we are going to go to the last 4C, which is cultural change. Vamos a ir a la última C, que es el cambio cultural, y para eso le voy a pedir al doctor Mohamed Elian, desde Oregon, que nos dé sus vivencias. Doctor Elian, you have the floor on the 4C.
Thank you, Dr. Pierre. Thank you, everyone, again. I will share my screen now. Yeah. So today I will talk about the cultural change and the cultural change within the institution where I'm working, the University of Oregon School of Law. And before I start talking about what we have noticed so far about change in our institution, there are 4 considerations that I think we have to keep in mind when we talk about change in general. The first thing is that because how COVID-19 just came to all of us suddenly, the whole process of change is a learning process for us. And it's something that we have to keep in mind always, that we have to work together to find the best way how we to deliver education to our students. So because it's a learning process, we have to know that whatever any problems we encounter are not permanent and they are changeable. The other thing also to understand that leaders in institutions have to communicate very well with the people who work in institutions to understand from them how change affects their life and how things could be changed to better deliver education to our students. Understanding this or the feedback culture that was in the process of traditional education was slow, and it takes any change takes semesters and meetings and approvals and proposals. Can be the same now with technology, and technology allows us to get the feedback quickly and can do changes quickly. The other important thing to consider is that any problems that I will mention today in my slides, or in general that you encounter in your institution after what happened in COVID-19, are not permanent and they are changeable. So, and this is again one of the, I don't want to say benefits of COVID-19, but one of the things that we are seeing so far, how institutions are changing things faster than before. Before in traditional education, we used to spend a lot of time, a lot of arguments, and a lot of meetings. Right now, it's not the case. There's always feedback and quick feedback. The last thing that I would like to highlight before I start talking about cultural change is that I'm just covering what we have seen far in my institution. In your institution could be different, and this is what we think are the most important changes so far in the culture within our law school. Dr. Pierre, would you like to translate these 4 things first?
Yes, thank you. Las primeras impresiones del doctor Mohamed se dan evidentemente al tema del cambio cultural que ha generado el COVID-19. Este es un tema, obviamente, que ha acelerado, como bien decíamos en la primera parte, una serie de cambios a nivel de las instituciones educativas. Y la universidad del profesor Mohamed no es la excepción. Definitivamente, lo que se quiere encontrar aquí es, en primer lugar, que este cambio cultural tenga, obviamente, el efecto, digamos, positivo que pueda tener en la sociedad, pero también que sea una situación que no genere mayores indisplicencias y mayores desafíos para los diferentes personas, diferentes trabajadores, diferentes estudiantes, en este caso, con respecto a lo que significa el cambio cultural en sí mismo. El COVID-19 quizás sea una de las mejores oportunidades para que este cambio cultural sea lo más concreto y lo más directamente tangible que se pueda tomar en estos tiempos. Prueba de ello, y esto es algo que vincula también el propio quehacer de nuestra institución VAB, es que a la fecha las aulas y virtuales del VAB son al 100%, y ha habido un cambio cultural bastante repentino y quizás en algunos casos dramático en ese sentido. I would like to say something as a reply also to what you said, because I just mentioned in Spanish a last comment on your point, saying that in the Institute, VAB, that is precisely one of the first points that we have actually endured in the last month since the confinement, the mandatory confinement in Peru, where many of the students and professors of the Institute have been sort of obliged to immediately change the chip in this particular way and try to turn almost from one day to another to a completely different way. And this has created lots of difficulties and challenges to the community, to the Institute community, professors, teachers, students, administrative people, support, everybody. So your point is critical to what we would like to hear from you on the following slides. You may proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Pierre. So in any change, we have, in any change of life, we have positive change and a negative change. When it comes to cultural change within educational institutions, we have seen change to everyone involved in the education process, whether professors or teachers, and administrators and students. For professors, professors have to currently have to figure out the best way for them to deliver their education in a way that will make them comfortable as professors, and also make sure that they deliver the education that their students expect. We have two models in our university. Professors can deliver live lectures, and some other professors choose to videotape their lectures. And it's that the change of how to choose which model each professor choose, it was difficult a little bit in law school culture, because in law school in America, we have something called Socratic method, and Socratic method bases education on discussion with professors. So professors don't tell the students what the law is. They discuss with the students the case law, and try to reach to the law with the students, to discuss with the students and ask questions, and the students will answer. And based on this answer, they will show the students how the law became a law. So this process, it was just very difficult to do for some professors to do videotape culture, so they had to choose the live session. In both situations, professors found the feedback that we got so far from professors, that change in doing online distance education has given them the flexibility in their scheduling. There's now less driving to work. There's no worries. There's no worry anymore about what to dress before they go to work, and where to park your car, and traffic jams. So they are happy with the changes. The other thing that they have to discover now, how to continue to deliver the same level of education that they had in the past to the students, so the students are not affected as everything else happening in our life, not affected negatively in education. The other thing, professors, would you like me to stop here?
Yeah, I would like to jump in on this for the Spanish interpretation.
Okay.
Bien, entonces, vamos a hablar de los dos tipos de cambios que genera el cambio cultural de esta nueva situación. El cambio positivo, y esto está ramificado, como habla el profesor Elian, por los trabajadores de la educación, en este caso profesores y administradores. Hablando del tema de los profesores, evidentemente al ser virtual, y en el entendido que las clases virtuales no serían en vivo, pero serían, digamos, diferidas, habría ese horario flexible y habría quizás más tiempo para investigar a los profesores, porque ya no tienen que estar grandes horas de tráfico para movilizarse de un lugar a otro. Entonces tendrían mucho más tiempo para poder hacer presentar sus cátedras a los alumnos. Evidentemente, tiene algunas limitaciones, como bien hablaba el profesor Elian, con respecto a algunos tipos de enseñanza, ¿no? Él hablaba de que en la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de Oregon, los profesores de Derecho utilizan el método socrático, que es básicamente un método para la discusión en vivo de los temas que se plantean y que genera una dialéctica entre los alumnos y el profesor. Además que este método obligaría a los alumnos a estar en vivo y a una hora determinada con los profesores o con el profesor a efectos de poder completar y mantener ese mismo nivel. Quizás este es un tema también que en el Instituto VAB se está, digamos, pretendiendo instaurar, y es que las clases son en vivo, con la posibilidad de que se pueda también los alumnos, después de escucharla, volver a la clase con clases pregrabadas. Pero las clases en vivo se dan a efectos de poder garantizar que los alumnos se encuentran en clase y se encuentran participando en ella sin necesidad de crear este tipo de diferencias en los horarios de clase. Efectivamente, podrá haber horario flexible, podrá haber menos traslado de las personas en el nivel físico de un lugar a otro, pero también existe esta nueva obligatoriedad, quizás si se quiere, de preparar estas clases sobre la base de nuevas tecnologías que no son tan quizás fáciles en algunos casos para los profesores y estudiantes de aprender. Entonces, I just would like to go back to you, Professor Elias, Dr. Elian, because what we have in the Institute, it is something connected to the fact that the lessons and the lectures are carried out online, but in live. That means, in other words, that we need and we must ensure that the students are connected in the virtual classroom, and the teachers are also delivering the lectures at the same time. That doesn't mean that later other or the same students can go back to the lecture because they are recorded afterwards. But the importance of this to sort of maintain this discussion and live discussions is to actually say that in the Institute, teachers and students are connected on a certain time during a specific time, and this is live. So that's something that maybe it's important for you to know as well. You may proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pierre. And this exact point that you just mentioned, what I want to talk about, that other feedback that we received from professors, that because how lectures are videotaped and students have time to watch them over and over and over again, professors have been receiving what they say, more valuable questions from students, more important questions from students. They can tell from the students' questions that the students are actually paying attention to what professor is saying. Unlike other live versus regular classes before online classes, if a student misses a point, it just is very hard for the students to go back again to hear what the professor was saying. So that's a good thing that your institution is doing, and we have seen so far how this is a positive change in our culture. The other thing that professors mentioned is that what also Professor Sofía mentioned earlier, how creativity, how the online distancing helped us with creativity. We have a lot of professors who mentioned now that they have more time for research, again, because you don't have to go to do the same. They have to go to work, have drive to work, and everything's done from home or from their office. They have more time now to submit papers, to work in their research, to work in their books. So that's another positive change that we encountered. Would you like to translate here, or do you want me to continue?
You can continue. You can continue to finalize.
Okay. Yeah. So the other group of people that we have seen changes affected them is administrators. Those are what we call the engine of our institution, the administrators of in our building, the law school specifically, how their flexible hours of working allowed them to be more productive. There's less face-to-face meetings. There's less time wasted in going to work and going back from work, and this time wasted in organizing. Just everything could be done from living room, and this allowed them to finish a lot of tasks that were assigned to them quickly. And so far, pretty much every single person I talked to in university said that before COVID-19, they had a list of tasks that were hanging around. Just you keep putting in the back burner for a long time, and just now, since COVID-19 allowed them to go back to this list and finish all these tasks one by one, because you don't have to go through the regular style of going to work, as I mentioned before.
Yeah, I will go to this point. And then
Okay.
El tema de los cambios culturales positivos también de los trabajadores del instituto es con respecto al personal administrativo. Si bien es cierto que puede plantearse horas flexibles de trabajo y productividad, eso también ayudaría a una verdadera revolución con respecto al impacto que tiene el trabajo de los administradores o de los administrativos o del personal administrativo y de soporte a la institución. También se habla de un impacto positivo para los estudiantes, ¿no? Porque en un principio se estaría hablando de gastos de transporte que podrían ser, de alguna manera, no necesitados, y que esto coadyuvaría también a tener más tiempo para trabajar y estudiar al mismo tiempo. De acuerdo a una serie de análisis que se han dado, esto ayuda mucho al trabajo de los estudiantes y a la flexibilidad que tienen los estudiantes para, digamos, seguir con sus estudios también con la necesidad del trabajo durante estas situaciones de confinamiento también. Lo que sí es importante decir al profesor Elian es que muchos de los estudiantes del VAB efectivamente podrían estar inhabilitados para trabajar por una situación digamos, de que hay un confinamiento obligatorio, y eso ha generado esta situación de estrés también a los estudiantes. Justamente lo que se establece con este cambio cultural es que los estudiantes puedan estudiar en horas flexibles, pero también mantener el trabajo y la posibilidad de establecer, digamos, los resultados que ellos quieren para tener su cambio, su título universitario de educación, sobre la base de los cambios en el estilo de vida. Es decir, ya no habría la necesidad de movilizarse físicamente a la institución, sino más bien interpretar ello sobre la base de un trabajo de cambio en el estilo de vida, en el horario de trabajo, en la posibilidad de que el estudiante tenga una productividad también mayor, si es que esa persona está también trabajando. Menos estrés, mayor posibilidad de interacción, y los cambios en el estilo de vida serán algo importante también que podría suceder como cambio positivo en este cambio cultural que está hablando el profesor Elian. Would you like to say something about your own experience somewhere else as well? Perhaps if you can tell us more about other jurisdictions that you are exposed, because this change of lifestyles is critically important. Students in the institute, as a way of contextualizing the work of VAB in Peru, many of the students cannot work now because they are confined, mandatory by the laws in Peru, by the president of Peru. by the Decree Supreme. And this is something that may or has definitely created some level of stress to the student themselves, because the rule is that many of the students work and study at the same time. So this is something that you may be familiar somehow to the students that are trying to finance their studies by working also themselves. So the question can also be from their perspective of how the change of lifestyle can actually be beneficial or not to the student if we are in times of COVID-19, where we have actually a mandatory confinement to stay at home and not to leave our houses. So this is something that perhaps could be positive or negative if you find it if you see it from different angles. Please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pierre. That's exactly right. We in terms of students' ability to work and study at the same time, as you mentioned, it could be seen as a good change or bad change. And it's important to differentiate between when exactly are we talking about, which time are we talking about, during the COVID-19 pandemic or after that. If we're talking about COVID-19 pandemic, I've had the students who reached out to me who were able to work before and they can't work now anymore. And it was very difficult for me to seeing some of my students are struggling financially, and there's nothing personally I can do to help with their situation. But my advice for them was how I did two things. One, I reached out to my colleagues who have connections with law firms and nonprofit organizations that are looking for to hire someone to work remotely. And this is it's in the law field in the United States. This is not something very common, but also law firms will have to change their culture also, and how to allow the lawyers or interns to work remotely. It's one of the things that I've been working with different members in the community. I reached out to law firms and career centers to help our students. The other thing that I advise my students to do is that now is a good time for them to work on their personal skills, since it might be a while until they are able to find a job, or until they find a job online because of the competition. There are things that every one of my students know that they need to work on. One of the things that I offer to my students with the Career Center in our university is to do online mock interviews, just to train the students how to do interviews with future employers. I also worked with other students on their writing skills. I told them it's a good time now to work on your writing skills, your research skills, how to polish your skills, so when everything goes back to normal, you have a better resume and a stronger resume. So that's when it comes to working and study at the same time. Does this answer your question, Dr. Pierre?
Thank you very much. And I'll just say one word on this to the audience as well. La pregunta que le planteaba al doctor Elian era precisamente con respecto a los estudiantes que trabajan y estudian, y en estas etapas de confinamiento obligatorio del COVID-19, cómo hacer con el estrés que se genera en estos temas. Y efectivamente apelaba a su experiencia con sus alumnos, porque muchos de ellos también en el área donde están han sido obligados a estar en casa en estos tiempos. Entonces él me respondía que básicamente desde el punto de vista financiero, evidentemente él no podría hacer mucho, pero sí hablaba de dos temas que podría ayudar, ¿no? Uno de ellos es con lo referido a darle una posibilidad a los alumnos de contactos adicionales, que él pueda colaborar con diferentes organizaciones legales o paralegales en la comunidad o en el Estado, a través de contactos que él pueda otorgar de sus colegas y amigos. Pero también el segundo tema es aprovechar este tiempo para mejorar ciertos niveles o ciertos aspectos de marketing personal y marketing y de desarrollo vocacional en tipos de carreras. Por ejemplo, muchas personas necesitan quizás mejorar en temas relacionados a la redacción, en el caso de los estudiantes del VAB, quizás a mejorar el idioma, el aprendizaje del idioma inglés, y cosas que le van a hacer más competitivos en el mercado. Y eso es importante tratar de aprovechar en estos momentos para dar esta visión y mejorar su profile o su perfil que pueda dar para una futura búsqueda laboral en estos temas. You may proceed. I think you finished your presentation. So with that, oh, sorry, you have also the negative part, correct?
Yes, yeah. How much time do we have left?
We need to wrap up soon because we already beyond time. But you may have 1 minute more to go to the negative part, please.
Okay, sure. I will do my best. In terms of negative change that we have seen so far because of the cultural change, as I mentioned, because a lot of students now are not present on our campus, our university had to lay off more than 250 people who are working on campus. This is a change that it's one of the negative changes of online distancing, online education, because we have workers who work on our campus who serve the students, and now because we don't have students anymore, people who work in the restaurants and cafeterias and the gym center, they can't keep their jobs anymore, so university had to lay off around 250 people. It's something that universities will have to think about in the future, how online education will affect the employment in their institution. The second negative change that we have seen is just the lack of social interaction and how that affects the students' mental health and fitness. We have students who come from houses that have problems with like abuse or or just they live in houses where it's hard for them to maintain a place to study and continue their education. And other students reached out to us that they have problems because of this lack of social interaction with the students. As teacher Amanda mentioned earlier about community and how schools provide both workers and students with this community. But also it's one of the, as I mentioned earlier, not every negative change is permanent. It's something that as both Professor Sofía and teacher Amanda mentioned, that by games and being creative, how we can provide the students with this social interaction that they want. We can do that online. The last thing is practical education. Law as a career relies a lot on practical education that the students receive in law school, such as interviewing clients, how to learn how to meet new clients. We have a huge part of our education is practical. Learning how to do that online is one of the challenges we have seen so far. But the good thing about that the change to everything online forces our students to be more tech susceptible. And like before, we have an issue with lawyers and law students that they were not very strong when it comes to technology. Right now, they have to do everything online. So they are kind of forced to get prepared for the market. It's one of the things that we have seen a lot of complaints from law firms and companies that hire new graduates, that they come out from universities and they are not very strong when it comes to technology. Right now, because students have to learn how to use technology in their education, that will mean that they are be well prepared and trained before they join the market.
Thank you.
Did I make it 1 minute?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I just want to get a question, but I'll get back to you on this because we do have to open the floor for comments as well. El cambio negativo. Vamos a hacer muy rápidamente esto porque el tiempo apremia. Ya estamos 2 horas y tenemos algunos comentarios y una pedida de la palabra por parte de un profesor del instituto. En primer lugar, hablamos de los efectos sobre el empleo. Efectivamente, los cambios actuales son evidentes. La interacción con la sociedad y todo lo que significa ello está siendo limitada. Existe evidentemente mucho estrés, quizás en la convivencia familiar con aquellas familias que tienen niños en casa, me incluyo. También hablamos de la educación práctica, que podría ser importante establecerla. ¿Qué tipo de educación práctica se tendría que incluir este tipo de cambio? Y efectivamente, también un cambio que no necesariamente puede ser positivo, sino negativo, efectivamente es en la salud mental y en la aptitud de las personas. Creo que ese es un tema que muchas de las personas que están de alguna manera acostumbradas a la interacción social ven en esta situación una cuestión muy difícil de afrontar. Y esto quizás sea un tema que preocupa mucho a las empresas, que preocupa mucho a las instituciones educativas, quizás en menor incidencia en el caso peruano, tomando en cuenta, evidentemente, que los confinamientos son con familias y ahí hay cierto grado de sociabilidad entre las familias también. Aquellas personas que viven completamente solas, creo que no es la regla general, sino más bien la excepción en el caso peruano. I just wanted to say one comment on the Peruvian case when you talk about the changes of the lifestyle, where perhaps in other societies, individual living is more the rule than exception. In Peru, there's lots of families and they live all together. So they can still keep social interaction amongst the families. Of course, that can also create other problems that are related to the 24/7 social interaction amongst family members. That can also be a challenge as well in itself. So with all this situation of timing, we will have to go to the last section of this panel discussion. We have already 2 hours connecting, I understand, and I want to like to bear with me the colleagues that only speak Spanish or English or vice versa. But it is important that we try to put together this type of experiences in both languages. Con esto quisiera decirles a todos los participantes que hemos terminado la presentación de los panelistas. Les agradezco por haber participado con los 2 idiomas, inglés y castellano. Efectivamente, ese es un tema fundamental, el hecho de haber tenido la experiencia de tener estos tipos de interacción internacional. Ahora quisiera abrir el espacio de discusión por unos 10 minutos, porque el tiempo apremia. Como ustedes comprenderán, en Malasia ya es pasada la medianoche, y entonces creo que es importante poder, digamos, apresurar el término de esta reunión. Bien, tengo entonces 2 participantes que han levantado la mano y vamos a pedirles que participen a través de, del micrófono. Si desean participar, por favor, si fueran amables de identificarse, si son profesores, alumnos o seguidores del Facebook del VAB. I have seen that there are 2 people that have raised their hand, so I will allow them to talk. I would like them to identify whether they are students, teachers, or Facebook followers, or anybody who is connected to this Zoom connection. So let me just, please, I would like the webmaster to allow the Professor Suarez, who has raised the hand. Please go ahead. So we have problems in connection. Let me see if we can get this connection I would like to see, it is Julia Rosa Valdivia Madueño. Te voy a dar el uso de la palabra, Julia Rosa, por favor, te ruego instales tu micrófono y te presentes y digas cuál es tu pregunta o comentario. Adelante, Julia Rosa. Ok, parece que hay problemas con la conexión de Julia Rosa, entonces vamos a darle el paso a la siguiente persona que ha levantado la mano para hablar. Perfecto, acá hay una pregunta de la señora Julia Rosa Valdivia, es alumna del instituto y le gustaría preguntar, en el Perú, ¿cuánto tiempo nos tomaría realizar todos estos cambios? Más allá de la pregunta, que es una pregunta focalizada en el Perú, quiero plantear la pregunta en inglés a los expositores y ver cuál es su impresión. I have a question from a student from the institute that says, to the point of view of the panelists, you know, and in view that you are not, of course, familiarized with the Peruvian context, but in general, how much time it could take in order for, let's say, Peru to realize or to make sure that these changes are taking place. The process, that you say, of the 4C's. So what do you think is your overall views about this topic? Who can raise the hand of you? Sofía?
All right, thank you for the question. So I'll just address it. So it's a good question indeed, because you mentioned about the time duration on how long can an institute take to implement all these changes. But the short answer is it's not certain, because it depends on the budget as well as the resources available at that particular institution. So it differs from one institution from another institution, but it's best if everyone, especially the management, can work together with the lecturers to understand what are required by the lecturers in terms of resources, so that the management can better support the lecturer quickly. Because I understand how management work, because now they are firefighting on how to deal with a lot of issues. So they are dealing with different issues, whereas lecturers are dealing with separate issues on how to deal with students, with all the online platforms. So it's good if all of these two groups combine and then express what they needed, so that the management will be able to support it. So the faster that both management and lecturers as well as students can collaborate, so then you will see you achieve faster outcome. So I hope that addresses the question. Unless Mohamed or Amanda would like to address it as well.
Yeah, I would like just to add one more thing. Thank you, Professor Sofía. Is that change will not happen suddenly, and will not happen all at the same time. That's something that we have to realize, have to keep in mind, that not everything will change at the same time, and we understanding that allows us just be patient about how an institution will change, and not everything I mentioned in my slides will happen in the same exact time. So changes will, and while everything is changing, you'll find more problems, you'll find more things that need to be changing also. But as Professor Sofía mentioned, communication between the management and lecturers is very important to address these issues, so that the institution as a whole can adapt to these changes.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
I just would like to add to Dr. Sofía and Dr. Mohamed. Apart from that, I think we also must measure the readiness of the technology readiness of the students as well as the lecturers. Very important. I think it is not too far for Peru to make the transformation, because this event itself is an example how the transformation is very quickly happening.
Thank you very much. Interpretando lo que dicen los panelistas sobre la primera pregunta, obviamente que eso depende de varios factores. Evidentemente el tema vinculado a la política o educativa y también con respecto a lo que se llama el cambio cultural de la propia administración y de la propia gerencia y la dirección general, en este caso del instituto, en coordinación y en directa trabajo con los profesores, podría obviamente acelerar este proceso de cambio. Definitivamente los expositores plantean una serie de desafíos que podrían pasar en cuanto a este proceso, pero se cree que evidentemente lo más importante aquí es el cambio de mentalidad, porque eso garantizaría que el cambio sea mucho más expedito que si las personas realmente no desean cambiar, no desean hacer ningún cambio cultural. Cuando existe ese tipo de situaciones, pues de alguna manera retrasaría el proceso de cambio y podría pasar mucho tiempo y los cambios no podrían suceder. En todo caso, lo más importante aquí es trabajar en equipo, como bien lo ha planteado el doctor Kandi en su exposición. Colaboración. Tenemos otra pregunta. We have another question from Mr. Suarez. This is also from the Institute, that says that this is a question for Dr. Mohamed Elian, and he'd like to know what would be the best free tool to use, meaning open source, besides Google Forms, to use to take exams, and what could I do instead of that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suarez, for the question. And unfortunately, I think Professor Sofía will be probably in a better position to answer this question, considering how advanced her institution is when it comes to online education. In my institution, because we rely a lot on research and all for our graduate students, so they have to write papers. So we use email communication between professors and students. Students will just have to, after they finish writing the paper, send it to the students, to the professor. Also in our school, we have an internal system that allows the students and professors to communicate. As for free online resources, I think Professor Sofía and Professor Kandappan might have better answer than me.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed. So with regards to the question, when it comes to exam papers, because the question focuses on best free application, so my concern is when it comes to free apps and also examining question is the securities issues. So when you upload the exam questions either for the purposes of moderation or for the purposes of releasing it to the students, and also for the purposes for students to submit their assignments. So if it's free, so there is a possibility of issues involving hacking or assignments going missing somewhere. So if it involves examination papers, so it is best to subscribe to a well-established application. But in times such as COVID-19, instead of focusing a lot on answering exam questions, perhaps institution can also find alternative on how to assess students apart from requiring students to answer essay or problem question. So it goes back to the institution whether or not it's possible, because I understand some institutions they require policy or directions from the ministry. So it's a big issue that you need to consider. But with regards to free software, I would not encourage it. So I hope that would address that particular question.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Otherwise, I will get back to this interpretation.
I just would like to add, yeah.
Oh.
Please,
Yeah, I think Dr. Amanda can go first, no problem.
There are a few, I know that Dr. Sofía mentioned avoiding software if you can. There are a few websites that we use in the public school other than Google Forms that are secure and private They do not require downloading any software. They're web-based. One of those that I've used before is called Classmarker. It's classmarker.com. This is a secure site for making simple quizzes or more advanced exams. And you don't need to install any software, and it is secure and private.
Thank you for that complementarity. Please, Dr. Kandi.
Yeah, I think I truly agree on Prof. Sofia and also Dr. Amanda. I just would like to add, for example, if you want to go for formative type of assessment, Isha, saw, I can put in the chat also, which, okay, saw, and I also use another one called Nearport. Okay, so that one, you can control the screen of the students. You can go like slide by slide. And if the students goes out of the screen, it will show like offline. So you can say the students is moving from your screen to another screen. So Nearport, I can also recommend Edmodo, where there is a digital library. You can do quizzes. You can even integrate a lot of third-party apps. Classroom management, everything can be done on my experience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandi, for that, and also to share the ads, the specific web sources, web resources in the internet. I think that there are two already here, Classmaker and Nearport. Maybe you can add to the attendees the different tools that are outside there, and maybe also Sofía can do the same. Interpretando la respuesta, la pregunta del profesor Suárez de Chorrillos, efectivamente, los expositores coinciden de que existen una serie de herramientas que están disponibles, unas con licencia, otras sin licencia. Algunos profesores recomiendan las herramientas con licencia para asegurar el tema de la privacidad y el ataque de hackers o de una serie de cuestiones de seguridad, digamos, indispensables y elementales. Pero, por ejemplo, las que se han mencionado por la profesora Amanda y por el profesor Kandi, de alguna manera estarían siendo herramientas concretas que se podrían utilizar y probar a través de las diferentes formas de dar exámenes en línea. Inclusive, uno de estos aplicativos habla de la posibilidad de entrar directamente a la pantalla del alumno, y en el momento de que el alumno se va a otro lugar para poder verificar información de internet, lo que haría, por ejemplo, en un examen, abrir el libro o revisar un papel, inmediatamente el profesor se daría cuenta porque el aplicativo te va inmediatamente a alertar de que el alumno está ingresando a páginas no debidas durante el examen. Creo que eso sería importante que se tome en cuenta y que de alguna manera podríamos eventualmente incluirlo en el trabajo del instituto. Quizás el área de comunicaciones en sus capacitaciones podría tomar en cuenta estas herramientas y ver cuál de ellas se adapta mejor a los estudiantes. Esta herramienta de que la posibilidad de que el alumno esté inmediatamente focalizado en una hoja de papel Word, como si estaría en una aula de clase, y no ver libros, o no ver cuadernos, no ver internet en este caso, es una herramienta muy potente que podría utilizarse tranquilamente para dar exámenes, inclusive de admisión. Bien, tengo otras dos preguntas. I have two questions that we will have to see if we can summarize into one because of time limits, and we also have 2 hours and 18 minutes connected. I'm really sorry and apologize for those that are in Malaysia. I understand it's very late in there. So I'm really sorry, and we will finalize in the next 10 minutes maximum. So the question that has been posed by a student at the Institute is something about very important and even philosophical question that Peru suffers and many developing countries, and I think this is something that you should take a take on this. What is it? Basically what she's referring to is that indeed we are all open to changes. And that's something that has been somehow imposed to us by undertaking virtual lessons. However, this already has an impact in the salaries of teachers, because there's the overall perception that the virtual lessons have different value than live lessons. As a result, salaries of teachers are decreasing, and the question is, how can we do something to change that attitude, that perception and connotations directly towards the parents of the students, for example, where they actually say that they need to be sensitized to some extent, that the virtual education has the same meaning or the same value or even more to the normal and traditional education as they learn it. So that's something that I would like to pose to the panel, and maybe each of you have 1 minute to present that. Let me just also say that in Spanish to those that did not follow. Hay una pregunta por parte de una alumna del instituto diciendo que, y voy a leer un poco lo que dice porque es importante, dice que es verdad que todos tenemos que estar abiertos al cambio, y lo estamos haciendo de alguna manera. Y es algo que es verdad que con esto de las clases virtuales todo cambió, hasta el sueldo de los profesores. Y es que los padres, por ver que son clases virtuales, no le dan el mismo valor de unas clases presenciales. Y el salario del profesor es menos de lo que pagaban. Entonces la pregunta que se formula es, ¿cómo hacer para que los padres de familia también tomen conciencia de que la educación, ya sea virtual o presencial, debe ser considerada de igual manera? Esta pregunta se las ha formulado a los panelistas y cada uno de ellos tendrá 1 minuto para contestarnos. Please, you have the floor, Sofía.
Okay, thank you so much for the thought-provoking question. It is definitely a question that does not only affect Peru, but it affects Malaysian lecturers and teachers as well, as we are all embarking on the global economy recession. So when we come about the salary of teachers or the salaries of educators, even Malaysia is also not excluded from it. So all of us are affected by it. But what is the best thing that we can do is that I'll just show you my screen, because there's actually a second slide that I would like to share with the participants. Okay, so I mentioned here on the first bullet points is to introduce element of gamification. So gamification, this is where you include an exciting games elements, like for example, where if student participates, students will get marks, student comes in early, student get points. So there'll be a ladder board where lecturer will monitor the student performance, and also it will increase student motivation because it feels that student is in a competition. They enjoy being in a class, for example, class of that teaches mathematics or biology, because it feels that they're achieving towards something and they will get reward. Reward doesn't necessarily mean a gift, but it can just mean that they get a points by the lecturer given. So this is something that I've implemented in my classroom, because I teach law. Law can be very technical, but when I gamify it, I introduce game elements, student becomes very excited. So parents, when they see students' excitement, so parents will believe on the lecturer's ability to deliver the teaching online. Because when we talk about the perception of parents preferring traditional or conventional methods, it is also the same in Malaysia. Even at Taylor's also we have concerns, because many parents are contemplating whether or not to send their students to pursue their education, because they don't see the effectiveness of online learning. But it can be effective, because I've done it. So I'll get other panelists to share their experience as well.
Thank you very much. And as you could see, before going to the next comment, I would like to say that some of the teachers in the Institute are using also this way of providing games and some ludic exercises to the students that actually can be beneficial. And they are actually saying that there are some games online, which is called scratch.meet.edu, that it seems that it's very, very interesting and very useful to be maybe shared amongst the colleagues. Please, you have the floor, Mrs. Samantha. Mohamed, you can.
Yeah, I will just I will echo what Professor Sofia said when it comes to hesitation from parents when it comes to online education. And indeed, I just had a conversation with one of the parents of our graduate students recently about the effectiveness of online education. The father didn't want his daughter to enroll in an online class, and I had a discussion with him to explain to him how important for her to attend the class online and how effective it is. I think from our side as teachers and professors, it's important to show the parent the effectiveness of online education by giving them feedback. So it's hard, I think, for young students. Probably could be better for, this could be suitable more for graduate students and university students, because you can see the immediate effect on them when it comes to attendance, the questions asked, the results in exams. For younger students, it's also doable, but it will take a long time until you see the effect of change in the students and how to show the parents how well you work with students until they got better grades or better performance. So just my point is to how to involve parents and how to give them feedback every now and then about the performance of their students, and that will show the parents the work that you're doing as a teacher.
Thank you. Please, Dr. Khan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pio. I just would like to add to Prof. Sofia and Dr. Mohamed. I recently, I think last 2 years, one I told earlier about the borderless classroom. So what I have done, I started moving some of the project presentation to the industry space. Okay, so the students don't present to me, they will present to the industry people. That means one of the example I can give you, I teach service quality management. So what I have done a project is called Mystery Shoppers Experience Project. So I spoke to the industry, asked them to give an opportunity to my students to act as a mystery audit shoppers. So we took the students to the hotel, they did the mystery shoppers dining experience. Then after 2 weeks, the same students go back to the same hotel and they present their outcome as an auditor to the general manager, F&B. Recently, I also started reaching my alumni, okay, to come and share the sessions. So one of the new keyword is AI, not artificial intelligence. It's an alumni and industry integration in your teaching and learning. And also try to do some activity like a poster showcase. And even one of our initiative from the university, we do what is called Innovative Week. So we ask all the students to showcase their projects. We invite the parents, we invite the industry people to come and see. So the students present to all the parents, they feel very proud. So as a parent, they see his own kids presenting to other, that gives a momentum, proudest momentum, I believe.
Thank you.
I leave it to Dr. Amanda.
Yes, Dr. Amanda, please.
Did you want to translate something first, Dr. Pierre? Did you have something to say first?
No, I just wanted to say that that the question to Dr. Candy as a reply to what his comment is that, so you are trying to sensitize the parents through sensitized sector of the society that can actually have an indirect interaction with parents. Can you please elaborate a bit more? Because the question that was raised was precisely about the perception of parents. So if these parents see that their students are better integrated to the industry because of the virtual means, that means that eventually that it is more effective than the traditional education. Is that what you're trying to say, or how?
Yeah, okay. So you need, because of this COVID, the industry is not functioning. There is no business, honestly, right? So I think I took an opportunity of this. I connected to some of the industry in Malaysia as well as in Singapore. I invited. So the students, even my alumni who's in the industry, seeing my poster in the social media, they started attending it. So I think the students really say, okay, even though it is online, the learning become totally different. And some of my students, they posted, can you organize more session like this? So I think this is where I think we create some added value on my point. Did I answer your question, Dr. Pio?
Thank you, Dr. Candy. Yes, I'm putting main points of the three of you so I can put it back into Spanish, but I would like to hear from Amanda, please.
Thank you, Dr. Pierre and Dr. Candy. So I'm going to speak just from my perspective as a primary school educator. I don't have the same experience as the other panelists in the university and teaching university. But so for myself as a teacher in 6th grade, I can tell you that there are concerns of parents about the quality of learning online. The number of hours per day that we are saying students should spend in their learning environment is less hours than they would spend in their actual school. Because of course in school they're having other activities, recess, lunchtime, other things to fill the day. So there are less required hours now. This can be interpreted by parents to mean that the quality of the education is lower or that they're learning less than before. But I can tell you from experience that teachers are working very hard now, if not harder than before, to transition what they're doing in person now online. It's actually much easier, I would say, to stand in front of a classroom and just give your lecture to your students than to find ways to change your curriculum to deliver it online, especially to children who are very young, who need a lot of help from their parents. You know, 1st graders and 2nd graders are not tech geniuses. A lot of them need a lot of help. This can be frustrating to parents. Parents might feel like they have to be more hands-on with education than they had to be in the past when students were sent to school. So bearing that in mind, I can understand why parents are concerned. But the quality of work and the amount of work that teachers are putting in now is the same, if not more, now that everything has switched to online. And I'll echo what my colleague said here. Because of the way our world is going towards everything being tech, this is great practice for students to learn how to do things that used to be maybe more traditional and how to like digitize that.
So I just have a question to you as a teacher, because this is great what you're saying, but that's what you are saying. How do you transmit that to the parents? Because one thing is what you're doing.
Right.
The other thing is what the parents think you are doing. For example, I can tell you my own experience. I am a parent of a primary school boy who's 8 years old, lives 100 meters away from my house. The school is 100 meters away from the house, but yet there's a sense of community in the teacher. But the teacher sends some emails every week in the morning. There's also once a week a virtual meeting with the students. And then she's encouraging the students to actually interact between themselves through virtual means.
Right.
I have taught my 8-year-old boy to create his own email address, you know, and it's been a terrific experience. But of course, it actually dedicates a lot of my time as a parent, but I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
So I have the impression sometimes that she's great, the teacher, but at the same time, she only sends one message on Monday morning and a message on Friday night. During these 5 days, then parents might think that she's doing something else. That's what I'm saying. So how can you transmit that to the parents so to erase that connotation? I don't have that connotation, to tell you the truth, but I may have it if I am more, let's say, reckless on this particular point of view. but I'm sure that this person is working hard to coordinate issues with different students. I'm not sure, but that's something that maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, you know, I think there can be a stigma in general about teachers and their value, and they are grossly underpaid in many countries in the world, which is problematic. And I have children myself. I also have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. And so I understand and I see that the communication between the teacher and the students can seem minimal. Like once a week they're having a meeting, or once every few days there's something sent out on the mobile phone or something like that. How to show parents that students are actually doing work. I think it's important for teachers to have a schedule that they suggest their students are following every day as if they were at school, a schedule that the teacher has created to make sure that, and also for the teachers to make sure that the students know they can come to them and that they're available all the time. We've made our teachers have office hours every day where they're just sitting there available in Google Meet, and the student during this hour can call them and ask any questions that they want. And also having the students produce things, like Dr. Candy said, to show their parents, like as evidence that they are learning and that they are working. Unfortunately, it can be difficult for teachers now, some teachers who are working from home, to be available from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every hour all the time, especially teachers like me, who now I have 4 young children at home who are learning. How do I teach all day my regular hours while patient with each other?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this reflection. I will then summarize this into Spanish. I'm sorry, bear with me, guys. You know, the Malaysian colleagues really go to bed, but please bear with me. I need a final question to all of you, because there's a very important question. Señoras y señores del Perú, aquí vamos allá a finalizar esta conferencia. Como ustedes pudieron ver, la pregunta ha sido concreta. ¿Cuál es la posibilidad de cambiar esta metodología, esta connotación, esta, digamos, forma de pensar por parte de los padres de familia con respecto al tema virtual, ¿no? A decir que los profesores deben ser pagados menos porque trabajan menos, ¿no? Entonces, ha habido una posibilidad directa de parte de los panelistas de entender un poco cómo funciona esto en sus perspectivas. Quizás la última intervención de la profesora Amanda pueda ilustrar un poco más esta respuesta. Y es que es importante que exista un grado de interacción directa entre el alumno o los alumnos y el profesor en estos tiempos de confinamiento. Y es que no es digamos, una situación, digamos, fácil para los profesores también, porque recuerden que ellos también son padres de familia, y ellos también tienen que estar pendientes de sus hijos que tengan que estar en aprendizaje. Recordaba en nuestra interacción con la profesora Amanda en Oregon, que efectivamente en su caso, al tener también hijos menores en su casa, no puede estar las 8 horas conectadas en la computadora como estaría en un salón de clase con sus alumnos, ¿no? Entonces, existe una serie de medidas que se pueden hacer a efectos de poder mitigar esa situación. Y la forma como se compenetra esa mensajería entre el padre de familia y el profesor, precisamente pasa por utilizar los medios virtuales que están a la disposición. Y en eso justamente va a cambiar la connotación y la manera de pensar por parte de los padres de familia. Máxime, si lo que yo tengo entendido es que en el Perú la educación virtual va a seguir hasta el final de año, y que efectivamente eso daría a colación una serie de implicancias directas con respecto a cómo los padres de familia y los profesores tendrán que buscar una solución. Por aquí nos preguntan, evidentemente, cuál sería, digamos, la situación, una clase modelo en donde podríamos establecer esta virtualidad entre alumnos y profesores. No existe una clase modelo directamente. Lo que se ha planteado aquí es una forma de poder llegar a los alumnos a través de una serie de niveles. Como decía la profesora, a nivel primaria, si estamos hablando de una situación directa, yo hablaba de mi propia experiencia, pero tomando y salvando las distancias con otros lugares del mundo. Aquí lo que se busca es que el profesor o el docente busque las herramientas necesarias para poder llegar también al padre de familia. Y hay cosas que se podrían hacer directamente, como son estas reuniones semanales, reuniones con los alumnos, fomentar que los alumnos entre ellos también trabajen en clase. No podrán ser obviamente las 6 horas de la escuela, pero por lo menos 3 horas al día, ¿no? Tratar de estar en esa interacción, las reuniones con las semanales y hacer un diario, una especie de agenda diaria de actividades por día a los alumnos, ayuda muchísimo. Por lo menos a mí me ayuda como padre de familia con mi hijo, porque yo puedo seguir exactamente lo que va a hacer cada hora mi hijo desde las 9 de la mañana hasta las 4 de la tarde, y en ese sentido me ayuda a una programación directa, no siendo yo pedagogo ni docente, pero siendo padre de familia. Efectivamente, la responsabilidad pasa de un profesor a un padre de familia, pero también el profesor, aunque, como dice la profesora Amanda, está más ocupado que inclusive dar clases en una escuela. Y el dar clases en una escuela quizás para ella sea mucho más fácil que estar en esta situación virtual. Pero en esto, como dice la profesora Amanda, estamos todos juntos. Tenemos que buscar formas de salir adelante en este proceso. Bien, hay más preguntas. Lamentablemente no se ha podido, por el tiempo, completar todo. Creemos que en esta primera interacción con los diferentes expositores que ustedes han podido apreciar, queridos alumnos y participantes de esta conferencia virtual, nos ha ayudado a poder entender que esta situación es un fenómeno mundial. Han podido ustedes apreciar lo que sucede inclusive en economías desarrolladas como la estadounidense, con la profesora Amanda. Han podido ustedes verificar lo que sucede en Malasia, que está al otro lado del mundo, literalmente, en el Perú, pero también en otros lugares que se han podido, digamos, compartir el día de hoy. Lo más importante que saca de este mensaje final a todos ustedes es que el cambio cultural va para adelante, aunque querramos o no. El cambio cultural a la educación virtual va para adelante, porque esta crisis sanitaria mundial ha removido todos los niveles de la sociedad moderna, para bien o para mal, pero los ha removido. Y la educación tiene que estar a la altura de las circunstancias. Es por eso que hemos querido demostrarles el día de hoy, con esta reunión virtual internacional, que sí se puede compartir experiencias, aun cuando estemos en diferentes lenguas, aun cuando estemos en diferentes idiomas, porque siempre tendríamos problemas similares. Ustedes ven que la solución no pasa por buscar un modelo internacional más viable, sino por adaptar aquellas prácticas internacionales a nuestra propia realidad, a la propia realidad peruana, a la propia realidad de Estados Unidos, a la propia realidad de Malasia, e inclusive a la propia realidad de Suiza, donde yo vivo. Entonces, todo ello tiene que ver con el cambio de actitud y el cambio del chip aquí en la cabeza. Y es por eso, queridos alumnos, participantes, profesores, comunidad belaundina, promotor y fundador del instituto, que nos ha escuchado, muchas gracias por estar aquí todas estas 2 horas y 43 minutos. Creemos que es muy importante para todos ello. Quiero también anunciar que la directora general, por motivo de salud, no pudo estar presente en esta reunión, pero se disculpa por ello. Sin embargo, hemos tenido acá la presencia del promotor y fundador de la institución, que hace más de 50 años está presente en el mundo de la educación peruana. Bien, voy a ahora terminar la finalización en inglés para agradecerles a todos los expositores internacionales y también a los participantes internacionales que han estado conectados vía Zoom y vía Facebook Live. Thank you very much for your time, effort, dedication. We have received lots of questions, but of course, because of time, we need to close this meeting. We are already 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm extremely worried about the time zone in Malaysia. So I would like to really thank everybody of you, in particular, Mrs. Amirnuddin, because she has been instrumental and critical in organizing this together with you. I thank you for your time, also in the preparatory conference call we had on Saturday, and this is only the beginning. We would like to work together. We would like to continue working together. You see, there's a lot of needs and situations that are happening in Peru. The Institute is just promoting this type of ideas to get together people, not even taking into account the language barrier. So we are trying to move forward on this. I hope that one day Zoom or other virtual platforms can do simultaneous interpretation. Maybe that's something feasible. I heard a colleague from WHO a couple of days ago here in Geneva who told me that, hey, it is possible to do it through Zoom, but every single language has its own channel. So it's become a little bit complicated. So it's not yet the time, but I'm sure with all this COVID-19 crisis, we will find additional platforms that will allow us to have simultaneous interpretations like we do, for example, at the UN here in Geneva. Second of all, I would like to say that the international people that have been connected to this live conference around the world, in Peru, the Institute has been one of the first pedagogical private institutes that have been teaching school teachers around the world, around Peru, sorry, and they have a great alumni. Things are very difficult in Peru, like in many countries, because of this COVID-19 crisis. But yet, the educational platform, the educational forefront, the educational stronghold should be remained intact and reinforced. And that's something that we can all help. And as you know, this is not my prior occupation. I do something else for life. But I'm trying to support this because I am an in-kind member of the promoting association of this institute. I would like to thank once again all the participants that have been connected to this. We have got a great participation from everybody, and let's stay safe, let's stay healthy, and let's continue with our passion, all of you. Thank you very much, and have a good night, evening, afternoon, and morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much,
everyone.
Dr. Pierre.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.